Hi, you are engaging in the ELA Guidebooks Unit Justice. The purpose of this video is to learn more about famous Supreme Court cases during the Civil Rights Movement and how these cases changed history. This will help you better understand the topics you will read in this unit, Claudette Colvin, Twice Toward Justice. Be sure to have your handout available and something to write with for the video. The fight for equal rights has often led to lawsuits that changed history. It's important to recognize the legal cases that stand out as landmarks in United States history. Brown v. Board of Education is one of the most famous Supreme Court civil rights cases and resulted in a landmark decision against school segregation. In the late 1940s, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, began a concentrated effort to challenge the segregated school systems in various states. A number of Black American parents were encouraged to try to enroll their children in all-white schools. All of the parents' requests were refused. The NAACP subsequently filed a class action lawsuit. While it claimed that the education offered to Black Americans was inferior to that offered to whites, the NAACP's main argument was that segregation by its nature was a violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. On May 17, 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled unanimously, 9-0, that racial segregation in public schools violated the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which prohibits the states from denying equal protection of the laws to any person within their jurisdictions. The decision declared that separate educational facilities for white and Black American students were inherently unequal. Although the 1954 decision strictly applied to only public schools, it implied that segregation was not permissible in other public facilities. Now you're ready to answer the question, what is the significance of Brown v. Board of Education? Pause this video to record your answers on your handout at the first stop sign. Then hit play when you're ready to continue. Let's review. Brown v. Board of Education was one of the most famous Supreme Court civil rights cases and resulted in a landmark decision against school segregation. The court ruled that separate public schools for Black and white students were inherently unequal and therefore unconstitutional under the 14th Amendment. Another legal case that stands out as a landmark in United States history is Shelley v. Kramer. In the 1940s, J.D. Shelley moved his wife and 6 children to St. Louis, Missouri, to escape the racial inequalities they felt in Mississippi. After searching for a new home, they found that many of the homes and neighborhoods had race-based restrictive covenants, which are agreements that limit what the owners can do with the home and land. Many homes were only to be sold to whites. Shelley chose a home that contained such a covenant, and the homeowner agreed not to enforce it. Shelley bought the home and moved his family in. Soon after, Louis Kramer, a homeowner who lived 10 blocks away, sued to enforce the restrictive covenant that had been made in 1908. The court sided with Shelley, saying the covenant was not valid because the records showed the parties to the original agreement intended that the covenant not be effective until signed by all parties, and not all homeowners had signed the agreements. Ultimately, the Shelley v. Kramer decision cleared the way for integration of neighborhoods and communities throughout the United States. Now you're ready to answer the question, why did Louis Kramer sue J.D. Shelley? Pause this video to record your answers on your handout at the second stop sign. Then hit play when you're ready to continue. Let's review. Louis Kramer, a homeowner who lived 10 blocks away from J.D. Shelley's new home, sued to enforce the restrictive covenant that had been made in 1908. There have been a number of impactful court case decisions, federal legislation passed, and amendments added to the Constitution that have expanded the civil rights of Black Americans in the United States. These cases deepen our understanding of the civil rights movement and the impact that was felt during that time in history. You will use this new knowledge as you engage in the ELA Guidebooks Unit Claudette Colvin, Twice Toward Justice. When you finish this video, be sure to turn in your completed handout to your teacher.